You save money every month, and somehow you still feel broke. Not broke like you can't pay your bills. Broke like there's never enough. Broke like something is always just out of reach. Broke like no matter how much you put away, the number in your account never feels real. You're doing what you're supposed to do, and it still doesn't work. That's the part nobody explains. If saving worked the way people think, you wouldn't feel like this. That feeling is not random. It is not anxiety. It is not a mindset problem. It is a signal, and most people spend years ignoring it because they are too focused on the wrong question. The question most people ask is, how do I save more? The real question is, why does saving feel like it is disappearing? Those are two completely different problems, and if you keep solving the first one, you will never find the answer to the second. Let's start where this usually goes wrong. You get paid. You transfer something into savings. Maybe it is a fixed amount. Maybe it is whatever is left at the end of the month. Either way, you move money somewhere and you call it saved. And for a few days, maybe even a week, you feel stable. You feel like you are doing the right thing. Then something happens. A bill you forgot, a repair, a social event you cannot avoid, a small purchase that felt completely reasonable at the time, and the savings either shrinks or you stop adding to it. And by the end of the month, you are back to the same number. Or worse, you tell yourself next month will be different. Next month, you will be more careful. Next month, the thing that came up will not come up again. But it does. It always does. Here is what most people believe when this happens. They believe they have a spending problem. They believe if they could just control themselves better, cut one more thing, resist one more temptation, the savings would finally hold. They look at their expenses like the expenses are the enemy. They make budgets. They track everything. They delete apps. They stop going out. For a while it works. The savings grows a little. Then the pattern returns. This is the part that nobody talks about. Saving is not a discipline problem. Saving is a structure problem. And those two things require completely different solutions. When you treat it like discipline, you try to control yourself. You restrict, you delay. But delayed spending always returns. When you treat it like a structure problem, you look at something else entirely. You look at the system your money moves through, and that system, for most people, has a leak they have never seen. Let me describe the leak. Most people save what is left. They earn, they spend, they pay what is owed, they cover what comes up, and then they move whatever remains into savings. This feels responsible. This feels like doing the math correctly. But this structure guarantees one outcome. The savings will always be last. And whatever is last gets the least. The money that arrives first gets spent first. That is not a theory. That is how spending works. Money that is visible gets used. Money that has a name gets used. Money that is sitting in your main account, waiting to be saved later, gets used. Not because you are careless, because that is how the brain processes available resources. When you see money, your brain does not see savings. It sees capacity. It sees room. It sees what you can handle this month. And you spend to the edge of that capacity every single time without even meaning to. This is not a character flaw. This is a structural outcome. The structure tells you what is possible. You spend what the structure says you can spend. So the leak is not your habits. The leak is the order. Here is the contrast that changes this. Most people earn, spend, and save what is left. A small number of people earn, save first, and spend what is left. The accounts look similar from the outside. The behavior looks almost identical. But the relationship with money is completely different. When saving comes first, the brain recalibrates. The capacity you see is smaller. Your spending adjusts to that smaller number, not because you forced it, because the structure forced it. You did not have to want less. You just had less to see. This is one shift, one move, not a system, not a program, not 12 steps. One change in sequence. Money moves to savings before anything else gets touched, and the month unfolds inside what remains. It sounds simple, and it is, but simple is not the same as easy, because the first few months you will feel it. You will feel the constraint. You will wonder if you move too much. You will feel tempted to transfer it back, and some months you might. That is fine. The point is not perfection. The point is that the savings is no longer last. Now let us go one layer deeper, because saving first solves part of the problem. But it does not solve all of it. There is something else happening, something that makes people feel broke even when they have money set aside. And it is not spending, it is not budgeting. It is something quieter. It is the difference between saving and building. Saving is storage. And storage does not create momentum. That's why it never feels like enough. You put money somewhere safe. It sits. It stays. It does not grow. And every time you look at it, it is the same number it was last time, unless you added to it. After years of this, the number might be significant, but it does not feel significant because it never moved on its own, because you had to carry it the entire way. Building is different. Building means money in motion, not risky motion, steady motion, money that is working while you are working, money that adds something without requiring your direct input every single time. Most people skip this step, not because they are lazy, because no one explained the difference, because saving was sold as the goal, as the responsible choice, as the thing you do when you finally get serious about money. But saving is just the first chapter, and if you treat it like the whole book, you stay stuck in a loop where the number grows slowly and the feeling of security never quite arrives. Here is why that matters. The feeling of being broke is not always about the amount in the account. Sometimes it is about momentum. When money feels static, life feels static. When money is not moving toward anything, every purchase feels like it is moving away from something. Every expense feels like loss. Every unexpected cost feels like a setback, even if the account can technically handle it. People who feel financially stable are not always people with more money. They are often people whose money is doing more things. A portion saved, a portion growing, a portion allocated. Each dollar has a direction. And when money has direction, the feeling of control comes back, not because everything is solved, but because the system makes sense. This is not about being wealthy. This is about understanding what your money is doing at any given moment. And right now, for most people, the honest answer to that question is sitting there, waiting to be spent on something. That waiting is what creates the broke feeling, not the amount. The stillness. Let us talk about something that rarely gets named. Some saving is defensive. You're not building, you're protecting. And when something feels wrong, that money disappears, because that was its job. You can feel the difference. Relief means protection. Anticipation means growth. Defensive saving gets spent first when something feels threatening, because the original job of that money was protection. And when the threat arrives, real or imagined, the money does exactly what it was saved to do. It disappears into the problem. And you start over. Building money does not disappear as easily, not because of willpower, because of framing. When you understand that money is growing towards something specific, the cost of touching it feels higher, not forbidden, just costly. And that mental cost changes the decision, quietly, without drama. This is the deeper pattern. What you believe the money is determines how long it stays. Let us slow down here. You save money, you do the responsible thing, you watch the account, and still, the feeling does not match the behavior. Still, something feels off. Still, the security you expected from saving has not arrived the way you thought it would. You are not doing it wrong. You are doing it incompletely, and incomplete systems always feel unstable. Saving is real. Saving matters, but saving alone is a container with no direction. It holds things. It does not move things. And money, like most things in life, does not create momentum by sitting still. The shift is not dramatic. You do not need to overhaul everything. You do not need to learn complicated systems. You do not need to earn more, spend less, or feel guilty about any of it. You need to change two things. First, when money moves, savings before spending, not savings after. This is structural. It removes the decision from your hands every month and makes the default behavior the correct one. Second, what the money is doing. Some portion not just sitting, but positioned to grow. Even a small amount, even a slow rate. The point is that money has a direction, not storage, movement. These two shifts do not solve everything, but they close the most common leak. And once that leak closes, the feeling starts to shift. Not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily. You stop feeling like you are running in place. You start seeing where things are going, and that visibility changes your relationship with the entire system. There is one more thing. The broke feeling has a companion that most people do not recognize. It is not scarcity. It is confusion. When you do not know exactly what your money is doing, the brain fills the gap with anxiety. It assumes shortage. It assumes vulnerability. It assumes that something bad is probably happening even if the numbers suggest otherwise. Clarity is underrated in conversations about money. People talk about earning more, spending less, investing smarter. But they rarely talk about simply knowing where every dollar is, knowing what it is doing, knowing what it is for. That knowledge is not boring administrative work. It is the foundation of the feeling you are looking for, because you cannot feel stable inside a system you do not understand. You can have plenty of money and still feel broke if the system is opaque. And you can have modest savings and feel genuinely secure if the system is clear. The clarity is the work, not the sacrifice, not the discipline, not the self-control, the clarity. When you know your money, you trust your money. When you trust your money, you stop spending defensively. You stop making financial decisions out of anxiety. You stop treating every purchase like a moral test. And when that noise goes away, the actual numbers start to feel like what they are, just numbers, manageable ones. You have been saving. And that is real. That is something most people do not do consistently. That effort is not wasted, but the effort is incomplete, and you felt that incompleteness even when you could not name it. The broke feeling is not about your character. It is not about discipline. It is not about how hard you work, or how much you earn, or how many things you decided not to buy. It is about structure. It is about sequence. It is about direction. Money saved last will always feel precarious. Money saved first becomes the baseline. Money sitting still will always feel fragile. Money with direction starts to feel like a system. And when you have a system, the feeling changes. Not the amount, the feeling. That distinction matters more than most people realize, because the feeling is what drives the decisions, and the decisions are what build the account. This is not about earning more. It is about what happens after you earn. The sequence, the direction, the clarity. That is where the broke feeling actually lives. And that is exactly where it can end.